Welcome to the Walk the Line podcast. I'll be your host, Greg Sowers, and today's episode 18, we'll go through a question that probably every coach has received in the summer or even throughout this season is, Coach, what do I need to work on? And right now is a good time where we get that question a lot. Tryouts are over here in Nashville, and guys are training, and they're trying to figure out what specifically their coach wants to see them work on in the summer. It's a good question to ask, and it's a fair question. Um, but I think an important thing to notice is, nobody's perfect at everything. So whether or not you ask the question or not, um, if you think you have a great shot, it can get harder. If you think you're a fast skater, you can get faster. If you think you're strong, you can get stronger, right? So there's even if you think something is, A plus in your repertoire of skill, there's always room for improvement. And there's a reason why, you watch, videos of NHLers or, guys in minor leagues, whatever it may be, they break it down to the simplest, just like we do with our younger kids. We work on just C cuts, right leg, left leg. Um, they're still working on those things too. And I kind of want to break this down into three separate categories again. So just trying to figure out what we need to work on, and it's obviously different for every player based on your skill set and what you're trying to do. But those three things, I think number one is nobody's perfect at everything. So kind of just like what I said, there's always room for improvement. Number two, skating. Skating is the base of everything in hockey. If you have a great shot off the ice, you're standing in your tennis shoes in your garage shooting pucks at the net, that's great and everything. But if you can't stand up on the ice, that could cause an issue. And then the third thing is get specific. So we talk about shooting pucks in the garage, working on your shot. Well, there's 100 different things you can do to tweak that shot, whether you're pulling it in or pushing or, slap shot, snap shot, work on your backhand, quick release thing, all things like that. So we'll get started with the first topic and saying that, nobody is perfect at every single aspect of the game. You just take Wayne Gretzky, for example, the leading point guy in the NHL, his records will never be touched. But if you asked him to play physical, obviously that's something that Wayne Gretzky was not known for. He could pass and find you anywhere on the ice. Did he have the hardest shot? Absolutely not. But he was so good at a few things. Um, you know, he was so good at four things, where most guys are good at one or two things. So even he could probably tell you wasn't the most physical player, but he didn't need to be. So nobody's perfect at everything, and we have guys on our team last year, our high school team, and they could skate well, they could shoot the puck well, but maybe their vision wasn't good on the ice. So I think a good first step is realizing that you want to have a good, well-rounded game at all the different aspects. And even if you do have the best shot on the team, there's probably a guy, maybe even in Nashville or a guy in Canada that's got a harder shot than you. So just because you think you're good at something, it doesn't mean you don't have to work it on anymore. You can always progress it, and make that shot a little bit stronger or more accurate. And then, another thing, to find these ideas and how to work on certain points of your game. There's so many resources out there. There's YouTube, there's Instagram. Guys are putting videos on TikTok. If you're looking for drills to work on a specific aspect of your game, you just have to search for it. And obviously, you can ask your coach and see if he could provide some specific drills that he'd like you to work on. But I mean, if you're looking to, improve your edges on the ice, if you go out to a stick and puck or a skate and shoot or whatever your local rink is, where it's just kind of mess around time, you're able to work on those things during that free time. I know it's hard to do when all your buddies are playing games in the middle of the ice or scrimmaging, but you take 5-10 minutes to just work on your edges, inside, outside, do your Sidney Crosby Mohawk drills, and then you can go play with your buddies. But I mean, those little things are the difference of being a good player, a great player, and a great player to an elite player. So again, just continuously working on your game, um, and again, pick up things from other guys, other coaches. Um, and I think there's great importance to playing games in small areas, and you work on a lot of different things while playing with your teammates and just messing around. But there is something to be said about, taking 5, 10 minutes aside to yourself and working on the skills, especially while you're on the ice and you've paid for it, to take the most advantage of it and then go play with your buddies. So find a small area, stick handle through a few pucks, work on your edges, do those things, and obviously progress through your skills, in the way that you see fit. Um, the second thing would be the skating aspect. Like I said, if you could stick handle, stick handle in a phone booth, that's great. If you're off the ice and you're in your tennis shoes, you're sticking handling through pucks and all this stuff, and it looks really cool. Well, if you can't skate, it's obviously not going to get you very far. So even if a player doesn't necessarily need to work on it, and it's cliche to say, but you can always get better at skating. Skating is the number one most important skill you need to have to be an elite hockey player. You watch the NHL; it's gotten incredibly fast over the past 5, 10 years. The rules are a little bit different, so there's not as much grabbing and hooking going on. But I mean, if you can skate, it puts you in a much better position, for more scoring opportunities and more opportunities to make plays. And that skating doesn't mean goal line, blue line, goal line, red line. We're not talking about conditioning. It's important, but the ability to change direction, being light on your edges, light on your feet, making sure your stride is as efficient as possible. You're not standing up, you got your knees bent, doing all those little things to make you the most efficient skater that you can be. And again, if you ask your coach, what's something I need to work on for next season, and he says skating, don't just say, oh, he tells that to everybody. He's saying that because everybody can work on it. It's something you can do, on your own. Again, 5, 10 minutes on the ice before you start to play games with your buddies. Like, work on your edges, do some figure eights. Um, it'll go a long way, and I guarantee there other kids your age are not doing that. And if you want to differentiate yourself from your teammate or somebody else, those 5, 10 minutes, they'll add up, because that's 5, 10 minutes somebody else isn't working. And kind of along with skating, there's some strength involved with that. Obviously, if you're not strong in your legs, you're not getting the most out of your stride as you can. So make sure even if you're at home, you don't have access to a gym or weights. Um, you know, Jaromir Jagr was doing 1,000 squats a day. He wasn't doing it straight through, but he'd wake up, do 100, go to school, do another 100, do 100 before he ate, do 100 at lunch. It would add up to where he was doing 1,000 squats a day. And I think, a guy who played until he was 42 in the NHL, and not many people have that kind of work ethic, but it just goes to show that you don't have an excuse. You can use your body weight. You can do lunges, you can do push-ups, you can work on your agility and all those things. You don't need to have a personal trainer or fancy equipment. Um, that's all on your own volition, and you're able to do those things on your own. So again, number one, just realize nobody's perfect at everything. Continue to work on all aspects of your game. Number two, skating. Always work on your skating. Nobody is perfect at skating. Um, it's the base of all your other skills. You're not going to have a hard shot if you're not balanced. You're not going to be able to stick handle if you can't, you know, skate with the puck that you're stick handling with. Um, and the third thing is, and I think this is extremely important, is as you progress, is get specific with your on ice training. Um, and the example that we briefly touched on was, shooting pucks in your garage. Any extra work is great, so I'm not trying to put that down. But if you're shooting 50 pucks a day in your garage, right? You got a net set up, you got your little slide board set up, and you're doing your thing. There's a difference between shooting those 50 pucks into the net, and there's a difference between that and shooting 10 pucks top left, 10 pucks top right, 10, bottom left, 10 bottom right, and the remaining 10, you try to go bar down. Like, push yourself to make those small tweaks to enhance your game even more. Again, shooting 50 pucks a day is better than not shooting any, but you can definitely do things, to make it harder on yourself and challenge yourself. And plus, it's a little more fun when you can get competitive with it and challenge yourself to be better than the day before when you were shooting. Um, again with shooting, how often do you actually have a puck on your stick? You're able to pull it back, get that classic wrist shot in a game. It's pretty rare that you have that much time to do so. So work on, quick shots. That puck, don't pull it back. Just rip it. Standing on your off leg, standing on your strong leg. Work on your backhand. We talk about changing the angle a lot for our shooters. Pull that puck in and change the angle at home when you're shooting. Push the puck away again, changing the angle. All these little things that you could add to honestly, make the training a little bit more exciting. But it also, prevents the monotony of doing the same thing every time you go out there. With stick handling, you could stick handle your puck on your slide board or whatever you have. But if you don't have that slide board, a lot of guys use a golf ball. A golf ball is obviously a little more bouncy and reactive. It'll develop those soft hands. You need a stick handle. It can move quicker than a puck. You could pull up Patrick Kane videos on YouTube. He went to the U.S. National Development Program, and they're really big on also moving your feet. If you're in your tennis shoes, moving your feet while you're stick handling. Shifting your weight. If you're going to your right side, and make sure you're leaning with your legs. Do a couple quick, right in front of you stick handles, and then go wide. Those are just, for stick handling and shooting. There's hundreds of different variations you can do, rather than just the simple. I'm going to try to, stick handle through these 4 pucks and then shoot in the middle of the net with my head down. So again, progressions. If you're getting bored with shooting 50 pucks, add. If you're getting board just sticking through 2 pucks, add a figure eight in there, add a golf ball, use a tennis ball, see how many times you can, bounce the tennis ball on the blade of your stick, working on hand-eye. There are tons of things you can do off the ice and on the ice to add a little bit of variation to your training. So again, just those 3 things. Nobody's perfect at everything. Work on your skating and get specific. I know I briefly touched on it earlier on, but if you're looking for ideas and your coach isn't providing them, well, 1, ask your coach, and 2, do your research. Everybody's got access to the internet, hopefully, or else you wouldn't be able to probably listen to this podcast. But make sure you're finding new and exciting ways to train on your individual skill. And if you have a buddy with you, that's even better. Challenge each other. Play post. Something, a simple game of playing post. Left crossbar, right side. Try to compete against someone who can hit all 3 first, and if they lose, they got to do 10 push-ups or something. It doesn't have to be on the ice. Have a coach, have a full team. Even the guys in the NHL, they're getting on the ice for their morning skates, and they're working on these small individual things that are part of the game. If you watch Joe Pavelski for the Dallas Stars, he's one of the best at tipping pucks in front of the net, because that's all that guy does when he has time set aside for himself. Just stands in front of the net. He gets a coach or a teammate to rip pucks while he's standing in front of the net, and he's just knocking them down and deflecting them. And there's a reason why he's got so many goals from the top of the crease, just standing there and being able to tip pucks. And the again, shooting pucks is great, but just make sure you're able to change that up to keep it exciting, add a little competitiveness to it, and continue to improve your game. So again, coach, what do I need to work on? Just don't get upset if he comes at you with the generic answers. Hopefully he responds with something that's a little specific to your game. But at the end of the day, you can work on every single part of your game. You're not perfect. So just keep that in mind when you're training this summer. It's great to have a hard shot, and it's great to think you have the best shot in the world, but there's guys that make it to the NHL just based off of their skating ability. Because you need that before you're getting into anything. So I've got about a 15-minute episode here. We'll try to keep them coming throughout the summer. I'm trying to throw together a few interviews with a few different people, but everyone's schedules are pretty hectic, especially around the 4th of July here. So we'll try to see what we can get put together for everybody listening. But I do appreciate those of you who are sticking around. This is episode 18. I plan to keep them going. But as always, feel free to shoot me an email or put a comment on these episode notes to let me know if there's anything you'd like to hear about. I know we're in the summer months and things are a little bit slow right now for hockey, but um, always open to suggestions and just make sure you're putting the work in the summer and you're ready to go when the season starts in a month or so. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July, and we'll talk to you soon.